Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lydia. I am your money mentor online. And today I want to talk to you about something I've already mentioned in previous videos. It's called F.I.R.E. F.I.R.E. Sounds interesting, right? Sounds like a tire popping. Well, no, that's not what we're talking about today. F.I.R.E. is the ability, and I'm going to give you a definition. F.I.R.E. is when you can live it up in retirement. You have a fantastic lifestyle and it's not affected by any reduction in your income. So what that means is you have to have a large enough savings pot so you can invest and get good returns that will allow you to maintain a positive or a strong lifestyle. Okay, so that's what F.I.R.E. is. It's that ability to actually track and make sure that you have investments that pay you on an annual basis or a weekly basis or a quarterly basis, however, that pay you well enough so that it doesn't negatively affect your lifestyle. Now, how cool is that? Well, there are a few things that F.I.R.E. can do. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through what it allows you to do. So number one, it allows you to live a comfortable lifestyle. Okay. So for example, if you're in a position where your children are wanting to go to university, having enough money to do that from F.I.R.E. allows your children to, you can save for your children's university and you're in a good place so that they don't have to take on massive student loans. That is one example of what F.I.R.E. could do for you. Ensure that your children have a good future by sending them to university without having to take out massive loans. Number two, it typically allows you to live in a fairly comfortable house. Now, what is a fairly comfortable house? That depends on you. So for some people, it might be a 10-bedroom house. For other people, it might just be a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It totally depends on where you are in life and how you want life to work with you. So F.I.R.E. really also depends on what type of lifestyle works for you. And in this particular situation, it might be a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom house that, you either have a very low loan on, you might have paid off. That would be a great place to be. Number three, for some people, F.I.R.E. means being able to travel for 8 weeks or more every single year. And this is a great place to be, seeing that, for example, that might be, one holiday in one place for 8 weeks or several holidays broken up into 2 weeks. It's totally up to you. But that is a typical example of someone who has reached F.I.R.E. ensuring that they are able to travel at least eight weeks a year, take various vacations and actually have a comfortable life in doing so. So it's not financially denting them to have those holidays or to live this particular lifestyle. Number four is F.I.R.E. tends to allow you to be able to drive a safe and reliable car. Doesn't have to be brand new. Maybe if you're in that place, if you want to be, but it typically allows you to drive a reliable and, solid vehicle that allows you to move around from one place to another. These are some of the things that we consider to be necessities. It might be a challenge for other people if they don't have enough money coming from their investments, but the beauty of it is it allows you to open your doors and financially make choices that don't affect you. One of the things that I know that retirees tend to struggle with, and my mom did for sure, was being a little anxious about the fact that she was retiring and I couldn't ask her for money once in a while. It's an angst that a lot of people feel, knowing that, okay, my income is about to drop and they are in a position where they're not able to maintain the ability to help their children as they used to. But F.I.R.E. puts you in a different position. It allows you to be able to not be anxious about your children because you have a little extra income that could help them if needed. And parents, we never stop parenting, right? That is the nature of the job. So there is a chance that that might be a struggle for some people. But if you have been able to save enough money to get to a place where you consider yourself to be F.I.R.E., you should be able to ensure that your children's needs are met. Number five. Eat and drink where you want. Okay, so how many of us have been to a restaurant and looked at the menu from left to right and you're not reading Arabic? This is a situation where you're looking at the price first before you actually make a purchase. Not impossible, not unusual, because you want to know how much money you're spending. F.I.R.E. could potentially get you to that place where you're not reading that menu from left to right, but rather you're reading it from right to left because you're basing your choice not on how much it costs, but rather what you want on that day. Last but not least, typically F.I.R.E. allows you to have generally good healthcare. So in the UK, that is not necessarily a problem with the NHS. We know that the NHS is overloaded though, and so if you're able to to be in a position where you can have private insurance, F.I.R.E should be able to get you there. So, bottom line, what is it that gets us there? It means that we have to have a solid amount of investments that gives us a return every year that we live on, that we don't just survive on, but rather we live on. So, majority of people have, if you look at my video here, you'll be able to see that the majority of people, once they hit the age of 50, actually tend to see a decline in income. And that was the median based on my last video. So what this allows us to do is ensure that thanks to consistent saving throughout our younger years, it allows us to be in a place where we're not struggling financially and we don't have a drop in income and therefore a drop in lifestyle after we retire. So everyone should aim for F.I.R.E. It's challenging if you're in your later years, but if you're in your younger years, I want to encourage you to do this. Take time, do financial planning. Where do you want to be by the time you retire? How much money would you like to have in the bank? How much money would you like to retire on? These are questions that you need to ask yourself, and make sure that you're fully understanding what you're planning towards so that you know how to save. And every time you work your way backwards, so you plan forwards and you work your way backwards from it, that allows you to achieve that goal. Last but not least, one of the things that F.I.R.E allows you to do is not have to work. So I know for sure that a lot of people in the UK tend to have to work after retirement. So they retire, but they tend to work part-time because they have to supplement that pension. F.I.R.E puts you in a place where neither of you spouses, or if you're not married, neither you yourself, single person, doesn't have to work. And that's one of the beauties of this. Thorough planning allows you to get to that place where you can be described as F.I.R.E. Remember, this is a personal number that you choose based on how much you can save. If you have $1 million in the bank, how much return would that give you? If you have 500,000 in the bank, how much return would that give you? If you have 100,000 in the bank, how much return on investment would that give you? And that allows you to make your choice. Now, some of the challenges of this might be, for example, if interest rates go down, you might be in a position where your money is being loaned out. Now, all of a sudden, the interest that you receive, unfortunately, is much lower than planned. That could be one possibility. Another issue is if the market crashes. So, for example, if you invested in the stock market, many of us remember 2008, where all of a sudden the markets crashed and everyone in America who had a 401k all of a sudden had a 201k because their money had literally disappeared into the market. Other issues there might be if you invest in real estate, if there's a market crash or if there's an emergency like COVID, where there was a rent hold, where people were allowed to actually have a moratorium on their rent. That affected people who were depending on that rental income to live. These are all things that could potentially affect you if you are living on investment income. So bear in mind, one of the things that you want to do if you're investing and trying to get to a place where you're F.I.R.E, ensure that you have multiple streams of income. Don't rely on just one thing. Make sure that you've grown your income, but make sure that you have different sources that hopefully won't be affected all at once. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, how do we get there? We need to be consistent with our savings. We need to start early, and we need to track our investments to make sure that they're giving us the return on investment that we need. That's it. Now, ensure that you have quality investments. Don't just turn your money over to somebody else. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Make sure you're fully trained on understanding what investments are and how they operate, because that way you can actually hedge the risks that might come your way. So I hope this helps someone today. F.I.R.E is actually achievable. It does require a lot of work. It does require a lot of saving during your lifetime, but it is achievable. And I encourage everyone to aim for this or a different type of FIRE, like, for example, lean FIRE, which I'll be talking about next in my next video. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and I appreciate your time. I ask only 3 things of you every time that I do this video. First one is that you like the video, the second is that you share it with someone, and the third is that you subscribe to my channel. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one.